Hello everybody! Welcome to Agashe Review, where I review movies, dramas that you don't want to waste your time watching. I'll give you a synopsis, shorts review along with my thoughts and opinions, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Now let's go into the review. Hello everybody, Agashe here today. So today I'm going to be doing a K-drama review on the drama called Mouse. And it is Lee Seung Gi. And like I just said, I'm watching it because it's my husband. Anyways, yeah, I had, if you guys have not seen our drawing, I had like this dream of Lee Seung Gi, and it was just because we were watching too much Vagabond during that time. But yeah, anyways, but yeah, he has a new drama coming out. I think it's been a while now since Vagabond. So yeah, and so this one is kind of like mystery thriller, and from reading it, it's actually based off of a case the writer took off of an actual case that happened like a while back, you know. So I was kind of iffy on it, but I watched the first 2 episodes, and I just kind of watched clips here and there with me, because like there's a lot of things that goes on and it just like creeps me out. So I was kind of like you know, and so I just watch it with me to kind of like see some of the clips and be like, no, it's okay, you can watch it, there's nothing wrong. But yeah, this drama airs on Wednesdays and Thursday, and it has a total of 20 episodes, and I was able to watch the first 2 episodes, so I will go ahead and review that with you guys today. As for our cast, we have Lee Seung Gi playing Chung Pa-rum, and then Lee Hee-jung playing Koo Mo-chi, Park Jung-hyun playing Oh Bong-yi, and then Kyung Soo-jin playing Choi Hong-ju, and then Ang Jae-wook playing Han Song-ju, and then Kim Jung-nam playing Sung Ji-eun, and then Kim Young-jae playing Koo Moo-won, and then Jong Chae-yu playing Daniel Lee, or Professor or Dr. Daniel Lee, something like that, and then Pil Ji-hoo playing Detective Shin, and there's tons of other people, so much people, but those are like our main cast that appears, you know. But anyways, for the synopsis, a suspenseful story that asks the question, what if you could identify psychopath in the advance? So, a serial killer murders, leaving the nation fair and, you know, in chaos and everything. Trying to seek justice, rookie police officer Chung Pa-rum comes face to face with the psychopath serial killer. While he survives his dangerous encounter with the psychopath, Chung Pa-rum finds his life completely changes before his eyes. He decides to partner up with Koo Moo-chin, who is a detective, and to reveal the truth about psychopath behavior and all these questions that rises along the way. So, recap on the first 2 episodes. The drama starts us off with Young Jin-hoon feeding a mouse, rat-ish, whatever, to a snake, and they're in like the zoo, museum, stuff like that. And other children are afraid, but he isn't, and he smiles as he watches the mouse and the snake attack each other. And then we flash back to 10 years ago, and there's a blizzard going on, and a woman comes home, and she stops because a little girl is asking for help. And the little girl says her and her father got into a car accident and she needs help. The little girl leads this young woman to where their car accident is, and there the woman gets killed. And when the woman gets killed, the little girl continues to cry as the young woman dies, and she's like, help, please don't do that. And then a week later, a headless corpse washes up on shore, and news comes out that the headhunter serial killer is out there, who has killed over 18 victims and still has not been caught. And so we move on to England, where we see Daniel Lee, who is a professor at a university teaching about serial killer, and he mentions about this gene that can be detected of a psychopath in the DNA before it's being born. So basically they do a test to pregnant women, and if your child comes out positive for becoming psychopath and having that DNA, they abort. So that's something he's trying to pass. Suddenly, he gets a call, and he ends class, and he flies back to Seoul. And in Seoul, the National Assembly is discussing on this very topic, and discussing on trying to pass the bill or not, as both sides comes to a tie on like voting with it, voting against it. And we learned that it did not get passed because the assemblyman voted against it. Him and his wife has been married for 10 years, and they're finally having their first child. If he passes this bill, means his wife has to get tested, and if it's tested for psychopath psychopath DNA, she has to get an abortion. And he cannot let that happen because he's like, I waited 10 years for this. I'm not going to let that happen. But anyways, moving on, later on that night, Daniel arrives at his friend Ha Seo-joon's house and he meets Ha Seo-joon's pregnant wife, which is Seung Gi. They all had dinner together. Ha Seo-joon puts his wife to sleep and he continues to talk to Daniel. We learn that Daniel has a sister named Jennifer and she died. She was Seo-joon's previous lover, and Daniel is happy for Seo-joon to be able to move on. But we know that he hasn't moved on. He's still hurt about the past and everything. But Daniel's like, don't think about it. You should be happy. You're happily married. You have a baby on the way. Be happy about it, okay? It's okay. So Daniel returns back to his hotel before he has to leave the next morning. Ji-yoon wakes up and it's like 5 a.m. and then she gets up and she realizes that Daniel is gone. So she goes and opens the blind and she sees 3 snowmen built outside of her house. She's happy. Seo-joon is back home. He makes her tea. They enjoy them early morning together. Moving on to the next scene, there's a family who is going off to the campsite, and they end up getting lost, and their bus is kind of like not working well. They end up asking for direction from this car that was parked in front of them, and they asked and they found their way to the campsite. When they got to the campsite, they learned that the campsite is closed down because it was snowing so much that the roof collapsed in the kitchen that the owner closed the campsite off. The mom urges the family to go home, but the younger son, Kumuchi, refuses to go home, so they decide to stay. As the mother went to fetch some water, she gets attacked. The father goes and helps her, and he gets killed. The mother hides her 2 sons in the van and tells them to not come out until I come back and get you guys. She leaves and she gets killed. The younger son, which is Muchi, he cries and he races out. His older brother, who is told by his mom to protect your younger brother and make sure he's fine, he comes and covers his brother's mouth, ends up making Muchi loses like kind of his breath and he faints. The older brother, which is Muan, he puts Mushi in a suitcase and hides it under the seats, and he goes and hides himself. The killer comes in and finds the suitcase and starts banging on it, waking up Muchi up. So having to protect his younger brother, he ran off to attract the killer's attention, and the killer ends up catching him and beating him up. Muchi saw everything because when he beat up the suitcase, it cracked open a spot, so Muchi saw everything. So now at the hospital, Wong is getting surgery. A detective came, who his daughter was one of the victims that got killed. He tries to get Muchi to speak up and tell him what did he see, because they need to catch this headhunter killer out there. And Muchi starts crying as he sees this picture on the wall, and he's all like, that's the guy who killed my family. And all the detective ends up at Seo-joon's house for a search warrant. They found nothing, and Ji-yoon is calling their lawyer friend to come and help them. And then we learn that Muchi actually snuck out of the hospital into the detective's car, and he's going to get revenge on Seo-joon. So what happened at the hospital was he saw Seo-joon's face on the wall, and Seo-joon is actually like this surgeon doctor or something like that. And so he got in the car with the detective without the detective knowing. He came. So when he got there, he took one of the knives from the doctor's place or something like the hospital, and he actually got out of the car and he tried to cut Seo-joon, but ends up getting a cut on Seo-joon's face. And they were just stopping them from fighting, the little boy from attacking him, and they try to search his house more, and they can't find nothing leading to him that he is what Muchi said he was. And with all the fighting commotion going on, Mushi, he actually bumps into one of the snowmen, and the head of the snowman falls off and the snow broke, and Muchi's mom's head is in there. Now Seo-joon is interrogated he goes into interrogation to see if he's actually the person to do this, but there's no evidence or nothing to pin that it was him, so he's let free. So during this time, Ji-yoon and Daniel is outside of the police house, and Daniel tells her that she shouldn't worry. Seo-joon loves her and he wouldn't do such things like that. And she asks about does a psychopath would be able to love another person, and Daniel said no, a psychopath does not love anyone but themselves. So they come out and she meets she stands in front of him of Sojun, and he's all like, don't worry, everything's going to be okay, but she replies back to him that you killed all those people, you are the headhunter. And Sojun's like, what are you talking about? So she pulls out a Polaroid picture. So apparently when he was building the snowman, he stated to the police that he didn't build the snowman. He don't know how they appeared from his house. Well, when Jiun woke up at 5 a.m., she saw him building the snowman, and she took a picture as to memory, saying, "Baby, look, your dad's building snowmans. That's you, that's me, and that's your dad." So there you go, proof that he is the headhunter. He built that. He put the head away, and so Sojun was just like, whatever. Yeah, I did do it. I killed all these people, and I also killed my previous girlfriend, which is Jennifer. And everybody's just like, what the hell? Why? And his reason was he needed an offspring because he wanted someone to be able to carry on his legacy of being the headhunter and do all these things. Gaja! That's Agashe. And apparently when he was dating Daniel's sister, Jennifer, she was pregnant and she ended up getting an abortion. And he got mad because he's like, why'd you kill my offspring? So he killed Jennifer for that. And then he made it look like they got robbed and they got killed. And the only reason why he even married Jin-Eun was because he needed an offspring. So now she's pregnant and she's soon to give birth, and it's a son. So she asks, Sojun goes to jail, and she asks Daniel to do a DNA test, and the psychopath DNA test, it came out positive that the baby does have it. She wants to get an abortion, but she runs into a pregnant lady. Hint, hint, pay attention to this. She runs into a pregnant lady who is 23 weeks pregnant, and this pregnant lady tells her that her husband is the doctor who studied with Daniel, and they did a test. The baby did test positive for the psychopath, but her husband lied so that she can be happy, and he doesn't have any of that in him, and he's a very good person, and he died saving a little boy from getting hit by a car. So she's going to keep the baby because that's all she has left of her husband, and her husband is a good person even though they tested positive for psychopath. So that ends it for us there. 5 years later, Sojun is still alive and in jail, even though he was supposed to be given the death sentence. Daniel is back in Korea to do his studies again, and we come across the same little boy in the beginning with the mouse, and we learn his name is Jae-hoon. And we fast forward another 5 years, and Jae-hoon has grown up, and he's a bit weird. He killed a rabbit at school. He's annoyed by people. He's constantly scratching himself because he's annoyed by people, and he's annoyed by his teacher. He draws all these scary pictures and everything like that, and it shows us that he has his psychopath part of him coming out, and his father is frustrated with him and beats him up, leading to Jae-hoon getting back, and he killed his father, and he also did the same thing to his younger brother and everything like that. And then we learned that his mother is actually Ji-hoon, so Ji-hoon actually did have the baby, so Jae-hoon is Sojun's son, and so she never killed the baby, even though she told Sojun that she killed the baby, and she made sure that his offspring would never survive again, but she actually did have the baby, So, the family, so the stepdad is the stepdad to Jae-hoon and his half-sibling and everything. And so from the looks of it, it looked like he killed his family. And he went through a lie detective and to see if he actually killed them, because they all died except for him. And he passed the lie detective. So it's like he didn't kill them. He was set free. And then he goes to the church to ask God to answer his prayer to not turn him into a monster. Well, apparently it looked like God didn't. 15 years later has gone by. He's turned to a psychopath serial killer. It's now the present time where we see Mu-chi, who is a detective, and he solves every case that is a murder case because he's trying to catch Sojun's son. And stupidly, he went and told Sojun that your son is still alive because when he was a high schooler, he witnessed Ji-eun having the son, and he's determined to find the son because he wants to make the son suffer as much as he did when Sojun killed his parents, leaving Sojun to know that his son is out there, so he's determined to find his son now. And we learn that Mu-chi's parents are dead. His Hyung is alive now, and he is the father of a church, but he's a little bit crippled. And Mu-chi, he's a detective. He's sloppy, but he only cares about the murder cases to try to catch Sojun's son, which they have no idea who it is out there. And then we go and meet Chong Param, who is an officer, and he's nice for the neighborhood. He helps everybody, but he's very sensitive to blood and dead people and dead animals and stuff like that. And we first meet him, as he goes to a show and tell at the jail where Sojung is. His friend, not Chiku, was like the new prison guard over there, and he went up against like Sojung. He was just like, no, I'm not gonna let you have things you want. Well, he ended up getting beat up and he almost died, but thanks to Sojung saving him, he makes it to the hospital and he's alive. Now at the hospital, Parang meets Dr. Song Yu Hong or something like that, which he seems kind of cold and he doesn't care about people, but he's just fulfilling his doctor performance where he has to be a doctor. He ended up performing the operation on Chang Parang's friend and making Parang a little bit iffy because previously, before they went to surgery, this old harmony was like she wants to kill herself, and the doctor, he was just like, next time you want to kill yourself, do this so we don't have to save you. So it made him like iffy, like, whoa, you're a doctor, but why are you saying that, But anyways, we move on to seeing Muchi. He's trying to connect all the past murder together with this PD Choi Hongju for this TV show about crime, and they find all these connections to all these murders that the killer seems to be hating God and is like flipping God off. And apparently the killer is actually watching Muchi, and he's been caught. He actually caught on to the pattern that this killer is doing, but he's like, the killer's like sent a message to Muchi like, hey, bingo, you solved it, good job, well, come find me, And so at this time, at the same time of Muchi solving everything, Dr. Sung, he actually ends up meeting Sojung in prison, and Sojung welcomes him as his son. But the thing is, Dr. Sung goes back to the hospital and meets Parang again, and both of them looking at each other. Now it makes us go, is Dr. Sun actually Sojung's son, or is it Parang? And then, but like, here's the thing where I said the hint. Remember, that woman was other pregnant woman was 23 weeks pregnant, and she said her husband they also tested positive for the psychopath. But she believes that it's her child's not going to be like that. So it makes us go, so is Dr. Sun or Parang, one of them is Sojung's kid, and the other is the other lady's, the guy who also the other doctor who also tested positive, but he didn't turn out that way. So it makes you go, oh, what's going on? Or it makes you also go, is Parang is Sojung's son, but he never carried on the psychopath gene, versus the other lady who was 23 weeks pregnant and she gave birth and her son did carry it, So it gives you to think like that. And so you're kind of like, oh, what's going on? So even I see on social media that everybody's wondering like, oh my god, which was which, is it Param Soju's son or is it Dr. Sun, And so all these things like that. So, but yeah, that ends us for the first 2 episodes of it. It's like so much to take, and you really, honestly, you cannot miss the first 2 episodes because it's gonna throw you off. The first 2 episodes sets you up for everything, and it gets you questioning what is actually going to happen, like who's who, because after Jae-hoon kills his family, he like disappears, and it's like because God didn't answer his prayers and he disappears, so you're kind of like, oh my god, what's going on? And then, but like the thing is like none of them are named Jae-hoon, so you're like, he pretty much grew up and he changed, did God really answer his prayer and he changed, and now there's a copycat of the headhunter out there doing this? Or is it, Dr. Sung, who is actually the Sojung's son, and he just changed his name and he's a doctor now because he just enjoys doing this? Who knows? There's a lot of questions out there, but that is the recap of the first 2 episodes for Mouse, and I am actually really looking forward to see how it turns out. I'm just like, oh my god, but I can't watch it without Agashe, so I'm gonna let it sit for a couple more episodes and then I will watch it, and Agashe will watch it with me, and we'll see how it turns out. But yeah, if you guys have not checked it out, do check it out. If you guys are looking for like something thriller, mystery, something to watch, do check it out. I really highly recommend it. I love it, but I'm afraid of it, so I don't watch it alone. But yeah, I've been blabbering on so much for this drama. As you guys can tell, I'm like, whoa, like so into it. But that's it for today, and check the drama out if you guys have not. But that's it, and I will see you guys in the next review.